Thank you for tuning in to the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. Whether you're listening during your commute, while working out, or just relaxing at home, we appreciate you. Every download, every listen, and every subscription means a lot. Up next, the 12 Kyle podcast.
I want to take a second to offer my condolences, thoughts, as well as prayers to the family of Jaliyah Butler. She was a young lady who was tragically killed this past weekend on the campus of South Carolina State University while attending the 2025 homecoming weekend, homecoming celebration. I believe she was 19 years young. You just heard the reports. She was visiting. She wasn't a student at South Carolina State University, but nonetheless, she tragically lost her life in a hail of bullets that, by all accounts, weren't even meant for her. While there's a pending investigation, I can tell you what I know. As an alum of South Carolina State University and as a person who was actually on the campus, I wasn't on the campus when it happened, but the word got back to me pretty quickly. What we know is that there was a fight. Well, I guess it started as an argument between two different groups in the parking lot or in the courtyard area of Hughini Suites. It's a big dorm on the campus of South Carolina State. And one young man, 18 years old, in the midst of the argument between the two parties, went to his trunk or his car to retrieve his Glock. And he came back and began firing into the crowd. Again, a bullet struck Jaliyah Butler, and she was transported to a hospital where she shortly thereafter lost her life. So again, I want to say rest in peace to her. Things like this should never happen. It's even more tragic when it happens to young people, because honestly, Jaliyah Butler, even though I didn't know her, she's, old enough to be one of my children. So it's just really sad. And it was a very sad thing to happen, tragic thing to happen. Not just the manner in which it happened, but where it happened, again, on the campus of South Carolina State University during our homecoming weekend. There was also another shooting. I'm not sure if the details are sketchy. There was another young man who was hit. He was transported from a hospital and then airlifted to another hospital. The word that I got is that he's expected to make a recovery. They're not sure of they're not sure about his injuries. Nonetheless, it's still, you never get used to this. And as much as we say that we're not used to it, in a lot of ways we are used to it. Gun violence isn't something that we aren't new to. Quite honestly, it happens so much that you lose count. And, it's even more tragic that it happened on my campus. But to be honest, really, people aren't safe anywhere. History has taught us, most recent history has taught us we're not safe in grocery stores. We're not safe in churches. We're not safe at school. We're not safe anywhere. The only place where you're probably 100% safe is in your own home, and maybe not even then, because depending on where you live, violence could come there as well. We have to do something. I don't know what it is that we're going to do. And we can talk about, passing gun laws, but I've said it before and I'll say it again. If 20 preschool kids could get murdered at school and nothing happens, we'll never have gun control in this country. I'm not here to point any fingers. I'm not here to point the blame, but that young lady didn't have to die. She came on the campus just like I did, looking to have a good time. And it's tough when you see or hear about something happening like that. I wasn't on campus when it happened. It happened at the time of this recording. That was Saturday night, probably around 9:30. By that time, I'll be honest, I was in my hotel room chilling. I left campus probably about 8:00, and it was getting dark. And it's interesting because as I play it back in my mind, I was actually near that area, near the Hugh Guinea Suites dorm, but it's a bunch of young people. And I saw a bunch of young people in that area. And there's always a bunch of young people in that area because that's a big area and a lot of kids congregate in that area. But, I was leaving and I had to walk past there on my way to get to my car. And it wasn't until maybe around 9:30-ish I started getting text messages. First text messages came from my wife, Sharice, who's also an alum, as many of you know. That's where we met. And I think the text message said something like, "Are you okay?" And I didn't know what she was talking about. Then I got another text message from Dr. Jamel. And she was like, "Hey, I heard there was a shooting on your campus." And keep in mind, I'm in my hotel room. I don't know anything about anything. And so I immediately called one of the homies who's still my boy Stahl, who was still on campus. And I said, "Hey, are you still on campus?" He was like, "Yeah, I'm chilling." They were still tailgating on campus. And it's weird because he was on campus and didn't know anything that had happened, even though the campus by that point probably had been on what they call a lockdown. The homecoming concert was canceled. All homecoming activities from that point forward, I think there may have been like something going on Sunday morning. I wasn't going to attend, but nonetheless, it was something supposed to be happening Sunday morning. And so that got canceled as well. So it was up until that point. Honestly, it was a beautiful weekend. It was one of the best homecoming weekends that I've had probably in the last 10 to 15 years. And our homecomings in South Carolina State are legendary. And that's why people come from all across the country. No lie. But now, we have to deal with, when violence and everything strikes you. It's a bad look for us, but I'm not even concerned about how it looks for us. I'm more concerned about that young lady. I don't know her, but my heart goes out to her family and friends because she came to have a good time just like the other 60,000 people that were on campus. And it should not have ended this way. We have to take accountability for the things that we do. And there has to be consequences and repercussions. As I mentioned earlier, they did apprehend a young man, 18 years old. And as of right now, he has not been charged with murder because my assumption is that at the time of this recording, there's going to take some time for the ballistics to come back. And once the ballistics come back, they'll have to match the gun to the ballistics and so forth and so on, and autopsy and all of that good stuff. But he was arrested on, I guess, pointing a weapon at someone and then having a gun on school campus, which I don't think you can deny that that's a pretty serious charge. nonetheless, it's like I said, it was bittersweet. I'm not going to spend the entire podcast talking about this, but I did want to, at the very least, address it because I've talked to quite a few people, a lot of friends. People reached out to me. Some folks reached out to me Saturday night. Others reached out to me Sunday to make sure that I was okay. Any and everybody knows that South Carolina State is home for me. It's where I got started, really and truly, as to who I am. And I say this unequivocally that if it had not been for South Carolina State University, I would not be sitting here. So I owe the school everything. And I helped build a program. And I helped build a legacy. And I have a legacy in the school. I have a legacy with the people that I've gone to school with, just like they have a legacy as well. And we're not here to see that legacy be tarnished. We're not here to let that legacy be destroyed by somebody who couldn't settle a fight with his fist. It's not going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen to the people or peoples involved in this, but we'll move forward. And they will have their day in court and they will do their time. I just hate the fact that Jaliyah Butler can't see another homecoming. To her family, friends, and loved ones, I'll offer you my sincere condolences. May her soul forever rest in peace. Now, there's no easy way to transition from the start of this episode, but I'm going to try to move along. Homecoming 2025 was incredible. I tell people all the time, and I know I've said this before on this podcast. If I could take the feeling, the love, the vibe that you get at homecoming and put it in a bottle, I mean, like, it'd be a bestseller. It is truly an amazing thing, an amazing time. I got to campus on Friday. I couldn't get there any quicker than I did. As soon as I got on campus, man, there's a feeling of love and a feeling of warmth and comfort, and then also a feeling of nostalgia. And I'll talk about nostalgia a little later in the podcast. But it's just a great feeling when you get on campus. So it's ironic, when I got on campus, the first person I saw was my cousin Eric. And I saw him briefly, and then because there was a concert about to happen, and then it was like 10 other things going on campus, traffic was backed up, and I'll touch on traffic in a little bit here. So I had to park my car at Belcher Hall, which is where the School of Business, where I own my skills. Belcher made me. I always say that. And so I had to park, which is on the north end of campus. So I had to park at the north end of campus. The stadium's on the south end. So I had to walk all the way down to the stadium. But it was cool, just seeing people. And as much as easy as it is to ride through the campus, I think it's always great when you walk, because you're able to pick up different things and see people. And you're also able to, kind of have nostalgia. One of the things that I did say to myself as I was making that trek from the front of the campus, the north end to the south end of campus, was, I can't believe I used to walk this way every day, because it ain't an easy walk. It's a nice little, you'll get your steps in. I'll put it like that. In fact, I walked so much that my Apple Watch turned on and said, "Hey, you want to resume your workout?" I mean, I guess I was walking at a pace to where it felt like, or they knew that it was a workout going on. But it was great to be back. It was great to be back. I always enjoy going back. This is my first time being back in Orangeburg, South Carolina, where South Carolina State University is located. And it's first time being back in a while. I may not have been back since last year's homecoming, which was incredible too. This year was going to be a little bit different because I came alone. Normally I come with my wife, Sharice. and Sharice could not make it because she is preparing for her dissertation in a couple of weeks. So it was just too much. It would have been too much for her to try to do that and come and party and have a good time. So I made the ultimate sacrifice in going alone. But it's funny because we had a bunch of conversations leading up to it, and she was just like, "Oh, I'm gonna miss this, I'm gonna miss that," and I'm trying to kind of smooth it. I'm like, yeah, it'll be okay, it'll be okay. But obviously, everybody that saw me asked about her. Well, where's Sharice? Where's Sharice? So that's a given. Given the fact that we met on the campus, and we've been married now 25 years as of the last 2 weeks ago at the time of this recording. So yeah, naturally, people are going to ask, "Where's your better half?" when they see you. So while she wasn't able to come, I was determined to have enough fun for both of us, and I did. The first thing I did was when I got on campus, I went down to the stadium, caught up with some of my teammates. It's always great seeing my teammates. I played football when I was there, and a lot of times, I'll be honest, a lot of times when I go back for games and homecoming and everything, for me, it's really about seeing my teammates. Even though I see some of the guys, I see them all the time. Some of them we're in group chats together, but I mean, to see a guy, to hug him, to love on him, to crack jokes, because we got jokes. Like, listen, me and my teammates, we have jokes. We got jokes for when we were in school. We got jokes for once we got out of school. There's a special bond there. There's an even more special bond with some of the guys that I played with, where we won a championship in 1994. We were crowned the Black College National Champions after defeating Grambling State University, eclectic, where everybody is somebody, as you like to say. So shout out to Eclectic and Doug from the North Side Doug. Both of those guys are Grambling alums. So yeah, it's always great seeing my teammates. It's always great seeing old friends. And I'll be honest, and I'm not saying this to brag, I have a lot of old friends. I got a lot of friends from school. I got a lot of associates too. So it's always good seeing people. I'll be honest, and I've said this before, I'm very bad with names, right? So there were a couple of people where I held conversations and I didn't know who they were. Like it happens, right? And the thing is, if I can carry on a conversation, I don't have to say your name. I won't say your name. But the flip side of it is, I really don't like it when people know my name and I don't know theirs. That's not cool. But it was a great time. Hung out for a little bit on the yard, as we call it. I was on the yard kicking it. A lot of people were in the yard, and the weather was beautiful. I think Friday was 81 degrees. Saturday was 80. Not a cloud in the sky, overcast at times. Saturday was really sunny, but not too hot, and it was a nice little breeze. I don't think you could have asked for better weather, because there have been years where, it's been touch and go. I remember one year, weather-wise, it was like 89, 90 degrees. And then I remember one year we had homecoming. They pushed it back all the way to like the first weekend in November, and it actually snowed. Like, so we were like bugging out because it ain't supposed to snow in Orangeburg, South Carolina. But the big thing was you want to get on campus, have a good time, eat, drink, do whatever, and then obviously you're gonna party. So Friday night's party was at this place called the Patel Center, hosted by DJ Shakim. Shout out to Shakim, my classmate, as well as some special guests, and two of the special guests, the rapper Kwame and the world's greatest entertainer, Doug E. Fresh. I get to the Patel Center. As soon as I walk in the line, I see my man Psycho. And listen, homecoming ain't homecoming unless you took and what's weird is that me and Psycho didn't even take a picture. But I saw my man Psycho. Psycho lived next door to me when we were freshmen in Bethea Hall. Psycho's probably, and don't let the name fool you, Psycho's probably one of the smartest people on this planet. How he got his name actually before we even started at South Carolina State. But how he got his name, I'll have to tell y'all another. Maybe should we bring Psycho? We should probably bring Psycho on here and let him talk on the podcast. But yeah, I saw him. He was with his wife, and we were going in the party, and I saw a bunch of people in the party. My brother was there with my sister-in-law, and so I saw them for the first time, and so we were in there hanging out, and Shakim was doing his thing on as far as DJing, and then I think first up was Kwame, and Kwame had a really good set. I had planned, or at least I thought about sticking around for the Dougie Fresh set, but I started looking at my watch and I was like, you know what? I got to get up early in the morning tomorrow. Saturday was going to be a long day, and I just knew that. So I was like, I'm going to miss, and I've seen Dougie Fresh perform, so it wasn't like it wasn't going to kill me not to see him. But I paid my money, and so I got in, did a little 2-step real quick, and I got up out of there. I cameoed that joint. I might have been in that party for maybe an hour, but I knew that I'd have to get up early. And one of the reasons why I knew I was going to have to get up early was I mentioned traffic earlier. Here's the thing. The homecoming events at South Carolina State University are legendary. And people come literally and figuratively from all walks of life, from all different parts of the state of South Carolina, from all across the world. That being said, we still have, as a university, we have to figure out this traffic contingency plan, because I understand, and there's more police presence than ever before. And, even in light of, the tragic event that happened, there was a bunch of police everywhere. So, and then security's directing traffic and everything. So I don't understand how or why it takes so long to get on campus. Last year, or at least the past 2 years, the homecoming game didn't start until 3:30. And so they gave you a bunch of time to get on campus. It gave people a bunch of time to go, get drunk and stuff before the game or whatever. But when but we went back to a 1:30 kickoff, which is normally what time our games start. With a 1:30 kickoff, for the people who go to the homecoming parade, after the parade, you need to start making your way on campus to the stadium, or whatever. So for me, I was just like, I just got to get on campus. I get real antsy. I don't particularly, this is going to sound funny coming from a guy who lives in Atlanta, but I don't like sitting in traffic. I really don't. And I didn't have a problem with it at one point in time, but now I don't really sit in a lot of traffic because I work from home, so I'm not in traffic like I was when I was, working, out in the streets. So I get annoyed in traffic. And so I was annoyed that it took me 20 minutes to get on campus. So I finally get on campus. Traffic, by this time, the parade is on campus, and so some of the streets are blocked off on campus. So I couldn't even go where I wanted to go. So I had to duck off and turn quick and park my car. So I parked my car at the bookstore. Again, I'm on the north end of campus, so now I got to walk all the way to the south end where the tailgate, stadium, all of that good stuff is going on. So I hit up my boy Stallworth. You guys, if you follow the podcast, he's been on here before. Stall is there. Stall isn't an alum, but we've adopted him because his wife's an alum. So and this is my man. So I link up with him, and then we were talking or whatever. And then I was like, come on, let's go to the stadium. And so these last couple of years, one thing that I've done is taken that walk in the stadium. And I love walking in the stadium, particularly when there's nobody in the stadium. And quite frankly, there was a security guard there, but he wasn't paying no attention. And there were some people milling around the stadium, but the players had not even gotten to the stadium yet. Because by this time, it's probably, I think I got on campus about 9:30. but by this time it's probably about 10:30ish or whatever. So me and Stahl used to coach at South Carolina State University. He was the strength coach when he was a grad student. So he's one of us again. So we went in the stadium and we walked on the field and just took pictures and stuff, and just talked about our times and experiences and everything like that, and just reminiscing, just kicking it. And Stahl lives here in Atlanta. We hang out all the time, but it felt good to be in Orangeburg, on my field. And we if you played football, you refer to it as your field because I spent countless hours on that field. But yeah, I wanted to get on campus just to beat the traffic, because the thing is that that the later it gets in the day, the worse the traffic is going to be. So by the time the parade ends, and the parade normally ends around 11:30, by the time the parade ends, it's a madhouse trying to get, no matter what gate you're trying to get into, because we have different gates, but it's just for security reasons and just because these people don't know what they're doing. Traffic just takes a little bit too long for my liking to park on campus. I did not eat breakfast, and here's the thing. Rule number one: when you go to homecoming at South Carolina State, you don't eat breakfast. And the reason why you don't eat breakfast is because you're literally and figuratively going to be eating all day long. The tailgates, everybody tailgates, and when people tailgate, you really just kind of you literally can bounce around from people's tailgate from one to the next. Me and Stalls, when our boys JB, shout out to JB and his wife, they were tailgating. They had a DJ and they had nice setup and RV and everything. So that was gonna be my first stop to get some fish. But no, I didn't want to go to McDonald's. I wasn't going to Waffle House. I wasn't going anywhere to eat. I knew I was going to eat on campus. And the great thing about homecoming is, like I said, when it comes to food, you don't have to, or eat, if I didn't drink anything, but if you were drinking, you didn't have to drink anything. You just want to drink water, because at least for me, that's what I drink. I drink water most of the day, but no alcohol all weekend. But if you're gonna drink, you go to different people's tailgate. Everybody's got liquor, everybody's got food, everybody's got liquor. So if you know somebody, you're fine. Even if you don't know anybody. I've literally been, I remember this was maybe about 3 or 4 years ago. I was walking through some tailgates and I stopped and asked this lady, could I get a napkin? Because I wanted to wipe my forehead because I was sweating. And she was like, you want some chicken, baby? And I was like, I'm not really sure. No, go ahead. Go get yourself some chicken. It's right there in that thing right there. And so next thing I know, I'm eating chicken with these people and I don't even know them, and then we strike up a conversation and go from there. But that's how it is. It's really, really, it's all love. Now I'm different from a lot of people in a sense that I literally and figuratively want to see the football game. Most people that go to homecoming don't particularly care about the homecoming game, because normally you schedule a team that you can beat. In this case, we were playing against Savannah State, and they're not in our division. We're a step above them, so we knew we were going to beat them. So yeah, the game wasn't going to be intriguing. It wasn't like we were playing against Notre Dame or something. But I still want to see the game because I'm vested in the team. I want to see how the team looks and performs. But before I did that, I guess we have made a tradition now. This is 3 years in a row? For the third year in a row, I link up with the homie, Danny Foxworth. You guys know Danny. He's been on the podcast. I've been on his podcast. Shout out to Danny for coming through. And like I said, this is the third year we've hung out at homecoming, going to the game, and introduced Danny. Well, I think I'd introduced Danny to Stall last year, but Stall and Danny sat in the stands and watched the game, man. And it was an interesting game. I don't think we played as well as we could have played. I think we could have played better. Again, I think the final score was 49-6. We won. But we looked kind of crazy at times. But, we've got a lot to work on. But again, it was about the fellowship, being there with my boys, being able to sit and talk. Because I love football. Y'all know that. So I like to talk and analyze the game and everything. Like I'm literally watching the game. But one of the great things about going to any HBCU, particularly a football game, is that the halftime show is never going to disappoint you. And we have the self-proclaimed best band in the land, the Marching 101 from South Carolina State University, and they put on a show at halftime, as they always do. What was interesting was they had a part of their halftime performance. They played the Boots on the Ground song. I'm sure you guys have heard it a gazillion times. Not a fan of the song, not a fan of the Southern soul or anything like that, but I, salute to them. What's interesting was the gentleman who made the song, a guy by the name of 803 Fresh. As many of you know, maybe you don't know, 803 is the area code, or one of the area codes in South Carolina. And so 803 Fresh actually performed with the band. And what was interesting was his microphone wasn't working. So we couldn't hear him. But it was something with I guess his people had him some microphones away. I don't know, something happened with the audio. It wasn't the school's fault, from what we were told, or the band's fault. But nonetheless, he got out there and they had the fans, where them fans at and all this stuff, whatever. And so it was cool. It was good seeing that. He actually shot the video, or parts of his video, for Boots on the Ground at South Carolina State University. So that was good. I don't know if he's a one-hit wonder, but he's ridden that hit for a pretty long ride. So shout out to 803 Fresh. And again, shout out to Danny for coming through, man. I think me, Danny, and Stahl all left at the end of the third quarter. Yeah, so we stayed until the third quarter, started the fourth quarter, because by then I think we scores like 42-6. So I think we scored another touchdown, but that was it. But yeah, shout out to Danny. Danny came through. He came to Atlanta maybe about 2 months ago, and he and I had breakfast. So yeah, it was good seeing the brother again, and hopefully, so he's been here. Maybe next time I'll come down his way, towards Monk's Corner, South Carolina, which is not too far from Charleston. So again, shout out Danny. You guys check out Danny's podcast, all of his podcasts. So yeah, we won the game. So after you leave the game, that's when you go back to the tailgate area. So we have a huge tailgate areas and stuff like that, and like one of the main attractions on the at the tailgates is the Xi Psi Experience, which is led by the brothers from Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. They have a huge area, and it's one big ass party. And I had a wristband to go in the party, but I never went inside the party. I was outside the party just talking to people. It was really good seeing everybody that I saw. Last year, I can honestly say that there were some people, there were a lot of people that were there that I didn't know that were there until I saw like their Facebook post or Instagram post the next day or the following days. This year I saw more people because I moved around. I went to JB's tailgate. I left his tailgate. I went over to the Xi Psi Experience. I walked around. I was moving around. And I think that's what it's going to take, because some people go in the game. Some people don't go in the game. Some people move around. Some people stay in the same spot. Like, you're not going to see anybody if you're in the same spot. So I learned this year that I had to move around. So I saw a lot of people. I saw one of my best friends in the Marvel universe, my girl Crystal. Crystal's my dog. If you follow the podcast, you've heard me talk about her, and you've only heard me talk about her during the homecoming recaps, because that's the only time I see her. Every time we see each other, we say, "Hey, man, we got to catch up. We got to talk. We got to talk," and we never do. So, Crystal, if you're watching this, it's always good seeing. Love you. Call me. Literally have been friends since when I say day one, she's definitely day one. Like I can't think of anybody else that I've known at school that long, like from that period, other than her. And I didn't see her Friday, so I thought for a second that she might not be coming. And so I was so happy when I saw her. And so it was good seeing her. I also saw my boy, shout out to my boy Jeff Lanier. I'm gonna use his full name on here. I hope he don't have no warrants. But Jeff Lanier, man, Jeff and I played football together. Jeff is born and raised in Cleveland, and Jeff had not been back to, I don't know if Jeff had been back to Orangeburg to a homecoming game probably since he graduated. And Jeff graduated, I want to say in 94, 95, something like that. Jeff used to live here in Atlanta, and he moved, and I haven't seen Jeff in about 17, 18 years. Because I think when Jeff left Atlanta, ironically, he used to live around the corner from me. But when he left Atlanta, I think Jeff was, I don't think we had Brandon yet. I mean, if we had Brandon, he was little. So that's like 17, 18 years. So we're friends on Facebook. We text every once in a blue moon, man. But it was when I didn't even know he was coming. I saw a picture that he posted on Thursday that he was in Orangeburg. And when I was like, I cannot believe Jeff's there, I was like, man, I got to see Jeff. And so I hit him up and I was like, yo, I better see you tomorrow, which I meant Saturday. And man, it was so good seeing Jeff, talk to him for a good little while. And it was just good to see him and love on him and talk to him. And, and I was telling him, about the kids and Sharice and everything. And Jeff has always been, a real, not just a teammate, but a real friend. And so it was great seeing him. And he said he would definitely be back next year. So that made me feel good because I know he moved back to Cleveland and, helping his parents and stuff like that. So, and I get it, man. It ain't cheap to come to homecoming. So, it was good seeing Jeff. One of the other things I realized is that, when you're at homecoming, if you see somebody, take a picture with them, because more often than not, the one time that you see that person, you're probably not going to see them again for the rest of the weekend. It's just that many people. And I don't want you guys to think like I went to, UCLA or Ohio State, but it's a school where when I was in school, it was probably about 6,500 students. Let's just say 6,500 students. It's probably about, I don't know, 3,400 students now. So it's smaller, but like the base of who we are, and as far as alumni, it's a lot of us. But like when we all get it on that campus, it's virtually impossible for you to see everybody. And so when you see somebody, man, stop, give them a hug, take a picture. Because if you don't, and if you say, hey, well, what you doing tonight? Oh, we going to this party. Because there's a gazillion parties, right? We're going to this party. You should understand that you're probably not going to see them the rest of the night. And I can't think of anybody that I saw Friday, with the exception of my teammates, because I always run into my teammates. Because we're always usually in the same spots. So I saw some of my teammates Friday night. I saw them Saturday. But outside of that, no, you probably not going. I can't think of anybody that I saw Friday that I saw Saturday. And definitely I didn't see anybody Sunday that I saw Friday or Saturday. So it's just like that. But that's the beauty of this particular HBCU. But yeah, the tailgates was dope. Shout out again to JB. They threw down. I had some great fish, great seafood. Like I said, I didn't drink any. There was no way I was going to drink any alcohol, because one, it was too hot, and then you walking and stuff like that. No, I'm just solely drinking water and Gatorade. That was it. Water and Gatorade. Whoever had the Gatorade, I was drinking it. Whoever had the water, I was drinking it. Yeah, and like I said a little earlier, I think I said this, but if not, I'm extremely bad with names. I just there was this young lady. I hope she's not listening. Did you think she might listen? Oh, okay. There was this young lady who came up to me Friday night, and she gave me a hug. She's like, hey, Kyle, it's so good to see you. She gave me a hug. And I could not remember who you are, lady. I don't know. And it's interesting because like sometimes I don't know if when it's strange situations like that, I don't know if the person knows me from if they know me because like I was, kind of popular, I played football, if they know me from football, or if they know me because of my brother, because I have a younger brother who is 3 years younger than me, but we were on campus at the same time when he got there, at least for a couple of years. Or they may know me from through my wife, who's in a sorority on campus. So I don't know. So it's like, and you don't want to be like, who are you? Because that ain't a good look. But yeah, I don't know who that young lady is, and she was very nice, and she was real cool. And it's interesting because like I chatted with her for maybe about a minute or whatever before we walked off, and as we were walking off, Stahl was with me, and Stahl's like, "You don't even know who that was," and I was like, "No, I don't. I don't. I mean, my bad. I just sorry. I'm sorry." Oh, shout out to the homie Sam, man. Man, it was good seeing Sam. And it's funny because Sam and we were at JB's tailgate, and JB was talking to, I think Virgil, who was with them. And I had on shades, and Sam, sidebar. Another thing, wear your shades at homecoming. The reason being is that one, it's great to wear shades because people can't see who you're looking at. So you can actually look at people and you can be like, you can tell yourself, okay, I know who that is. I'm going to speak. Or you can tell yourself, I don't know who that is, so I'm not going to speak. I try to speak to people, but I don't speak to people all the time because, again, I don't know. Sometimes they may look like somebody you know, and you don't want to speak to the wrong person, if that makes sense. But we're standing there, and I was talking to Stahl, and Virgil, I think, was talking to JB, and there was a guy standing right there in a white shirt. And I kept looking at him. I was like, man, I know this guy from somewhere. I was like, I know him. I couldn't remember his name. And he pulls the shades up. He's like, he points him. He's like, Kyle. And I was like, yeah. He's like, man, I'm Sam. He's like, remember me? I was like, oh shit, Sam. So we dabbed up, hugged, and started reminiscing, man. He used to call me Cool Kyle. And he was from this little small town called Sherraw, in South Carolina. And we reminisced about the time where my high school, Wilson High School, played against Sherraw High School, and they won on a last second interception. And but man, it was great seeing Sam. I had not seen Sam in, man, I don't know when the last time I saw Sam. I think the last time I saw Sam, we might have been in school. So it was great seeing him. I'm assuming Sam is on Facebook because I probably would have seen him by now, been friends with him by now. But I'm gonna get his information from JB because I know JB has his information. But yeah, it's good. It was so good seeing so many faces. For me, I get a little bit. I get happy about seeing people because, particularly as we've gotten older and we've gone through COVID. As you get older, you understand that you've lived a life, and you've got a life to live, but you also understand that you probably have I'm 52 at the time of this recording. I may have another 52 in me, but I may not. Not that I'm trying to leave here anytime soon. If God willing, I'll be another 52, 50, 58, 59 years. But the reality is, most of us probably have more days behind us than we do in front of us. And so, like, I don't like, getting the messages about such and such. Man, you heard Whoop-de-Whoop passed away. And like, come on, man, what happened? Oh, he had a heart attack. Like, we trying to be here forever. And realistically, you're not going to be here forever. But, I love seeing other Bulldogs because we had, similar stories, similar paths, similar journeys through that university. So yeah, so it's always good. But again, I'm bad with names, so I've mastered the ability to have conversations and not mention anybody's name. I am very well versed in that. So, the tailgate was incredible. Linked up with my brother, my sister-in-law. And then, like I said, I left campus probably about 8:00. Sunday morning was the Sunday brunch. Shout out to the homie Smooth Capone and the homie Mel for putting on a great brunch. The food was incredible. Smooth wasn't there. Mel told me that Smooth was out of town. He was in Chicago. I'm assuming Smooth was doing it. He was at work. But I got to text Smooth, man. Smooth, you listening? Smooth listens to the podcast. Shout out to Smooth again. I told Smooth last year when I missed the brunch that I was going to be back and I was going to come this year. And as soon as I saw the advertisement, I bought the brunch ticket, and food was good. And I don't really eat a lot of food because I knew I still had to drive back to Atlanta. So I don't eat a lot of food. I don't like being, feeling heavy or having a lot of food on my stomach when I'm about to make a trip, because you don't want to make yourself sleepy. But the Sunday brunch at the Gardens was incredible. The young ladies who put it together, as far as the setup and everything, it was outside, but it was covered and it wasn't hot. So that was dope. And, a bunch of people came. And when I was leaving, it was still people coming. I saw my cousin Nadira. Shout out to Nadira. Nadira's probably one person that I saw Saturday and Sunday, because I saw her. I made sure I laid eyes on her Saturday, and then I saw her again on Sunday before. I was literally walking out of the brunch and she was walking in. So I gave her a hug. But it was great seeing her. That's family right there. But yeah, the Sunday brunch was dope. And, I managed to, go stop by my brother's crib on the way back, see my niece and nephews, and then make it back to Atlanta. So Sunday was dope. But in closing, before I left Sunday, I had what I would call some nostalgic moments. And these moments kind of come to me from time to time. And it usually happens when I'm in my thoughts, in my head. Being in Orangeburg, being on the campus of South Carolina State University, particularly this year, being on the campus without Sharice, put me in a kind of nostalgic mood or what have you. But what I decided to do was, when I left the brunch before I went to my brother's house, I decided to make a trip to, what's it, Morningside? I think that's the name of the street, Morningside. Well, first I made a trip to Loman Street. Loman Street is where I used to live in a boarding house in the summertime with my cousin. And man, we used to have so much fun. And that was my first time living off campus. I did it during the summertime, and it was great. And that boarding house I lived in, it was one little room. And that room was so big, like I probably could stretch, I could stretch out my arms and touch the walls. It was a little bit bigger than it was big enough to fit a bed in and a dresser drawer, but that was about it. But yeah, so I rode down Loman Street first, and then I drove past the Dario ice cream place where Sharice and I used to get a lot of ice cream, spent a lot of money at Dario. And then I drove to Morningside, which is where it's the first apartment. It was a brand new apartment. Nobody had ever lived in it before. But that was the first apartment that I got. And Sharice and I lived in that apartment probably 6 months or so before I moved to Atlanta. And it was interesting because I had not, it didn't dawn on me until that point that I had not been to that particular apartment. No matter how many times I've been back to Orangeburg and been back on campus, I had not been to that apartment since I moved. And I moved the summer of 97, and here it is, 2025. And of course I didn't go in the apartment because somebody's living there, but I drove and I rolled my window down and I took a picture of it and I sent Sharice the picture, and I just got not emotional, but there was just a feeling of, it was a feeling of accomplishment. Like, I just remember being a broke college kid, right? And I think at that particular time in my life, you know that you're doing something. You don't know what the end result's going to be. You don't know how you're going to get there. And there was a lot of uncertainty. And I knew I was about to graduate at the time, and I knew that I wanted to move to Atlanta, but I wasn't sure how life was going to go. I wasn't sure if this relationship with this girl was going to work. I wasn't sure what my career was going to be. I didn't know anything. I knew what I wanted, but what you want and how you get to what you want are two different things. And just standing outside and looking at that apartment, I remember Sharice and I used to have conversations, and I remember telling her one day, I was like, one day we're going to be able to go in the grocery store and spend $100 and just buy whatever we want in the grocery store. Imagine dreaming to spend $100 in a grocery store, and like that was your dream, and saying like, hey, one day we'll make it, but you're not sure how you're going to make it. And as much as I had confidence in myself and what I could do, I wasn't sure how I was going to get where I got. And so that moment right there, it was very emotional. Not emotional to the point where I wanted to cry, but the music was playing, and it just made me think like you've really come a long way. And sometimes you got to look at yourself and be like, I'm proud. Like I'm proud of who I am. I'm proud of where I come from. I can't forget this place because this place holds so many memories to me. That apartment holds a lot of memories. I remember watching Mike Tyson fights in that apartment. I remember, not having a lot of furniture or anything, just a bed, and we had a couple of chairs and stuff, and but we were two kids trying to figure it out. And I remember my car broke down. No, my aunt wrecked my car, and so Sharice didn't have I couldn't take her to work, so she would catch a ride, and and our apartment wasn't near campus at all. It was a good 5-minute ride from campus. And so I remember one time she walked to work, and it's just like, I was like, I'm thinking, I'm a guy, I can't have my girl walking to work, and I can't afford to call a cab, and there was no Uber back then. So it's just like all of those memories came up, like just the struggle. But it made you appreciate it. I mean, I'm sitting here and I'm living, a pretty good life, a damn good life. Not the life that I would have even conceived, standing outside of that apartment some 25 years ago. But all in all, it's always great to go home. The memories, the thoughts, the love. I ran into a bunch of people that said that they listen to the podcast, which is always a surprise to me because I don't know who listens to this podcast. Now, there's some people that will say, man, if you tell me you saw my podcast, you saw a clip, you didn't listen. But shout out to the homie, my dog Steele. Steele's one of my teammates. Steele listens to the podcast, and he told me specifically the episodes he liked. So I know he's listening. I may have to get Steele on the Rap Soul so we can talk a little hip hop, because he took issue with some of my New York takes. But shout out to Steele, man. It's good seeing you. He sat with us at the game too, being able to sit there with some of my teammates and just talk about the game and reminisce and just like I said, everything was great. It was obviously a dark moment that happened Saturday night, and I don't want to gloss over it. That's why I began the episode the way that I did. But outside of that, it was a beautiful weekend, and I'm glad that I had that nostalgic moment because sometimes I don't know necessarily that I give myself credit for anything that I've done. I mean, I know that I should get the credit because I did it, but you're not really looking like that because you're always on the next step. You're always moving to the next journey. You're always moving to the next goal. And I'd chop my right arm off right now to go back to 1995 and be right there in Orangeburg, South Carolina, on the campus of South Carolina State University to do it again. I would chop my arm off and do it. I'd do it all over again if I could do it with the people that I did it with the first time. And of course, I was hanging with the crew, my man Mo, Steve, the usual suspects. Shout out to all my teammates who I saw, and the ones I didn't see, because a couple of them I didn't see. But I thoroughly enjoyed the time because, you know, I was just a broke college student trying to figure it out. And the thing that I would tell any kid on that campus right now, and it sounds cliche, but you can do whatever you want to do. All you got to do is work. If you put in the work, it will pay off. I'm living proof. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for me. Thanks again for checking out this edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast. We drop new episodes every Thursday and every Sunday. We also have merch. Check out our merch. Hit the description box. Click the link that says merch there. You can buy 12 Kyle podcast t-shirts, hoodies, and coffee mugs. We got it for the low. Also, we have a new baby. It's called the Rap Soul Podcast. It is the place where we have discussions about music and artists from the 80s, the 90s, and the 2000s when it comes to rap, hip-hop, soul, and R&B. Simply put, it's the best music podcast that you've never heard. So you should definitely check it out. Again, that's going to do it for me. Ladies and gentlemen, I am your boy 12 Kyle. I'll catch you guys next time. 5,000. Cheer.
Thanks again for listening to this episode of the 12 Kyle podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure that you hit the subscribe button and share this podcast with a friend who needs the 12 Kyle podcast in their life. Every listen, every download, and every share helps us grow. Thanks for being a part of the 12 Kyle podcast community. We appreciate your support. We will catch you next time. 5,000.